What is up and how's it going? Welcome back to another edition of the Dynasty Doctors. I am your host, Tyler, with the other half of the Dynasty Doctors, Shane. Shane, how you doing today, buddy?
What's up, my brother? I'm having a little technical difficulty, so we're coming to you from the phone today.
Hey, pushing through, man. Look, I had one show on the iPad. You got one on the phone. I mean, next time, Joey will be doing it on a Windows computer. Speaking of Joey, how's it going, buddy?
I feel like I'm going to be live via satellite in the next one. Like, damn. I'm good. I just want to make it known to the public, which is pretty wild. My apartment complex that I live at, the sprinkler systems have been going full blast since about 4:45 yesterday when it was struck by lightning. So you may hear me yell about a flood at some point in this episode.
Look, we got a bunch going on right now. We're just pushing through. We're bringing the content to the people like we always promise. So, the struggle is real, but we're here for you. But gentlemen, today we got a fun and interesting topic. We are going to go over divisional breakdowns, and we're starting with the East. So basically the way the show is going to go today is Joey's going to be our moderator since he is our Dynasty Doctor in training, or I should say our Dynasty resident. I got you. So we're going to go through that. He's going to go through. He's going to ask us some questions. He's going to basically set up each team for us, and then you're going to hear breakdowns from Shane and myself. We'll have questions for each other. We'll, I'm sure, have some laughs along the way as well, and kind of some side-eyed looks and some predictions. But hey, that's what we're here for. We're here to have some fun. Shane, you ready for this?
I am. If the sprinkler goes off with those lights that Joey has, it's going to look like the opening of the original Blade movie. But I'm ready to go.
So with that being said, Joey, I'm going to hand the hosting reins off to you, buddy, and go ahead.
Thankfully, it's the lawn care sprinklers, not the fire suppressant sprinklers that are going off.
That's just fun.
Yeah, I know, but it is what it is. So, like Tyler said, we're going to go team by team in the division. We're staying in the East for the AFC and NFC this episode. We're going to start in the NFC with the New York Football Giants. They have a lot of young talent. Malik Neighbors into his second year. They've already announced that Russell Wilson's their starting quarterback. I'm going to go with Tyler first. Tyler, tell me what you think about the New York Giants. Like, what's with this young talent? What do you see coming for their future?
So I think with the Giants, I think we can all agree that it begins with Malik Neighbors. The guy's an absolute stud. I mean, I'll go through it. I'll go through his stats from last year. He had 170 targets, 109 receptions, 1,204 yards receiving, and 7 touchdowns in only 15 games. Now, granted, I understand that there was a week where he had a giant spike week at the end of the year against the Colts. I get that with Drew Lock, and that really kind of inflated the numbers. But still, with no good quarterback play, he was just an absolute beast. And I've seen everything I need to see from his rookie year to just really kind of say he's on the ascending path. And my bold prediction is that he's going to finish as a top 3 wide receiver this year. Even with the crap quarterback play, with everything considered. I think he plays a full 17, and he really solidifies himself as a top receiver in this league. I mean, his average draft position right now, if we were going to talk, since we're kind of keeping this more redraft focused, I should have said that at the beginning. His average draft position is around 9 overall, and wide receiver 6-ish, depending on what I'm going off PPR rankings. So naturally, wide receivers are going to be pushed up a little bit more. But that's all I really have to say about Malik. Now, I do worry a little bit about Russell Wilson just not being able to pepper him with enough targets like he was with Daniel Jones last year or Tommy DeVito. So I really think that as soon as he gets out of the way, Jackson Dart can come in and he's going to really lean on him as a wide receiver. I'll tell you what, an absolute dream as a Malik Neighbors fantasy owner would be is if Jameis Winston somehow gets in the game. Because Jameis is just going to pepper him with targets, chuck it up, probably give him 20 targets a game if he could. So that would be the absolute dream and would solidify, I would say, possibly a number 1 wide receiver season for Malik Neighbors if he was the starter the entire time. Now, does that mean wins for the Giants? No, no shot. But Shane, what's your thoughts on Malik Neighbors right now before I can start jumping into the rest of the Giants?
So in my redraft league, I plan on taking him at 7 over. So basically, I'm sitting at 7. I'm going to take him over Puka. I'm going to take him over St. Brown. The 3 receivers that are going to be gone in front of him are Chase, Jefferson, and Lamb. So he's my 4th receiver on my board. I plan on taking him, and I truly believe he could be a top 3, if not the top guy. So while I'm not really knocking Puka or St. Brown, I think they're at where they're going to be. I think he could really be top 3 guy in redraft next year. So I agree.
I think it's fair, though, since you brought up Puka and St. Brown. With St. Brown, it's just the target share being there. He also had a lot of his touchdowns were up last year, and he still was only the wide receiver 6, right? Like, so, and that's not a knock. We're literally splitting hairs here, but you lose Ben Johnson. There's a lot of mouths to feed in that offense. It's natural to see some kind of regression. And by regression, we mean, I don't know, maybe wide receiver 8, wide receiver 10. You know what I mean? So, and then with Puka, Devontae Adams coming in should not be slept on. Even I know how much Puka was a target monster, and he still will be a target monster. It's just I do see Devontae Adams really taking a bite out of that because he's still unless the wheels completely fall off, he is still performing at a high level. That would be my argument for what you're saying.
I think when we're talking about redraft strategy, and we'll get into it, I'm sure on both. It's about maximizing risk and shooting for maybe a higher ceiling. So, for instance, we're not like you said, we're not knocking those guys. Malik had terrible quarterback play last year, and I'm not saying Russell Wilson's better, but I am saying he's better than Drew Lock. Not much, but
yeah, I would say it's close.
I think they're giving him a tip of the hat. I don't think that he'll be the quarterback long for that team. I'm sure you're going to get into this. I have 2 points for you, so I'm going to let you finish, and then I've got 2 questions for you on fantasy related items for Giants.
Yeah. So just to kind of reiterate that, and I have a fairly good feeling where you're going with those. With the Giants, let's keep moving on. I'm not going to talk quarterback too much. No really fantasy relevant quarterback for this year. And Jackson Dart's intriguing if you're a dynasty play, but this year, honestly, if I'm a Giants fan, I don't want to see him touching the field at all this year. Continue that development, let him learn a little bit more, and then you're not going to be good this year. And that's the thing that's a little bit concerning when it comes to the guys I'm talking about next, and that this coaching staff may just not be there. They have the hardest schedule in the NFL. So if they get off to a slow start, and who's saying they don't get rid of the staff and the GM? So it's a little iffy there. I will say, did you know that the Giants are only favored in 1 game this year?
Is it versus the Saints?
Yep. Week 5 against Saints on the road. They are favored. That is the only game they're favored in this entire year. So I just want to throw that tidbit in. But let's talk about the running backs, okay? There's definitely a committee, at least for right now, between Tyrone Tracy and Cam Scatterbo. I've talked about Scatterbo before in here, and I think it's really pertinent to talk about him again when it comes to the coaching staff. If the coaching staff goes and the GM goes, he's a 4th-round running back. Coaching staffs don't have a tie to him, and there's no financial tie to him, right? Like, it's not like when the Jaguars took Travis Etienne in the 1st round and got rid of their coach after 1 year. No, there's a significant financial tie to Travis Etienne, so they had to keep him around and try to integrate him in the offense, which they did with a new coaching staff. But if the coaching staff's gone and they bring in a new one, there's no ties to Cam Scatterbo. You don't know what they thought about him coming out of the draft. Just like there's no ties to Tyrone Tracy, who had terrible fumbling issues down the stretch last year. So it's an ugly committee. I mean, look, if you can get them late in the draft, by all means, take your shots. I'm all for it. But I've seen Scatterbo sneak up in the 9th, 8th, 7th round. Too cheap, too expensive for my taste. I would happily take another flyer on a more solidified situation than the Giants. It's kind of like, I really feel like with the Giants, it's Malik Neighbors and kind of just avoid everybody else. You know what I mean? That's just my opinion. Now, I will say before we wrapped up the Giants here, watch out for Theo Johnson. Kind of quiet his rookie year. Didn't get a lot of play. He was nicked up a little bit, but he's a highly athletic tight end, big, fast. Be on the lookout for him. He could be a nice late round flyer for people that I don't think people will realize. That's really what I have for the Giants. You know, I guess my question for y'all is, I'm kind of doing it over under. Like, how many games do you think each quarterback starts for the Giants? I'm gonna say you get 7 from Wilson, 4 from Jameis, and the rest from Jackson Dart.
I'll be honest. If I had an opinion on this, which I kind of do, I look at it. I think of the Cleveland Browns in this situation, and
It's very similar.
You're gonna look at me. You might look at me like I'm crazy, but you might not. When they drafted Baker Mayfield, their starting quarterback was Tyrod Taylor. Was it the Thursday night game on Fox?
Yeah,
Tyrod Taylor got hurt. They put Baker Mayfield in. This feels a lot like that situation with Jackson Dart. So I think, you have a Sunday night game against Kansas City. I don't think that's good. I think that's too early. I think when they play Philadelphia on Prime Video Thursday night, I think that's going to be his coming out party. That's going to be his first game. That's week 6. So the good thing for him is that's at home. So you're not in, that rough Philly crowd as your starting game.
You're feeding to the number 1 defense in the league.
I'm going to thoroughly disagree with you.
But my thing is this. It's going to be his play will be so bad, they're not going to want to hurt him. They're not going to want to hurt Russell Wilson. So they'll put him in just to be like, the game's going to be so out of hand. Put him in.
Now, you're saying it's a mop-up duty?
Yes,
maybe.
That's what I'm thinking. It's going to be like some kind of mop-up duty.
You said coming out party.
I meant like, hey, this is going to be our quarterback of the future. He's going to hand the ball off a bunch and maybe throw like 1 or 2 passes.
So he'll get the mop-up cleanup duty. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe.
I definitely could see that.
It's a current New York Giants coming out party where it's, hey, we're getting hosed. Just go out there and don't get hurt.
Okay. I mean,
I think they're starting versus the Saints. Is what I'm going to say, because I think
in New Orleans,
4 tough games. The Saints have an aging defense. They're not supposed to be that good. You put them out against your worst competition of the year. It's the only game you favored in. Like Tyler said, the staff's on the hot seat already, so they got to do everything they can to try to. So if Russell Wilson, who we all think is going to be terrible, sucks the first 4 games, hey man, we're going to put him in against the only game we're favored in and see what he can do. And if he does great, then he's going to get a real test the next week. If he does bad, we're probably going to put Jameis in.
That's fair. I could definitely see that. It's just with the way the team's constructed, and if you're really trying to invest in time in him, it's also the Lane Kiffin offense at Ole Miss is not the most conducive for pro success right away. That was just kind of my thinking of being like, maybe they sit him a little bit longer to try to make sure the mental aspects are there before throwing him out there. But look, there's nothing like on-the-job training, right? So,
yeah, I just think with the staff, like you said, is going to be pressured because they're like, look, we either got to win now or we're out of here. The only other thing I'll say with the Giants is the next person I like besides Neighbors is I think their defense is very, very underrated. They're ranked currently 22, and I really think they can have a top 10 defense with the players they have on the field. So,
well, it's gonna be interesting to see how the secondary holds up. I love the pass rush. Brian Burns and Abdul Carter is a hell of a 1-2 punch. I mean, you still got Thibodeau. I mean, I know he's been inconsistent and hasn't lived with the expectations, but still an athletic pass rusher that you can just throw in is never a bad thing. They did sign a Debo in the offseason to a very hefty cornerback contract from the Saints. So if everything meshes together, I can see the defense definitely being a strong suit for the team.
Yeah.
Joey, why don't you take us on to the next team, buddy?
All right, so now that we're done with the Giants, let's move on to, I would say, a lot of people's possible sleeper pick to be a Super Bowl contender, especially coming off of Jaden Daniels' amazing season last year. That's the Washington Commanders. Like I said, amazing season last year from Jaden Daniels. He's got that sophomore season coming up. I don't know if the slump is going to happen. It remains to be seen. Shane, why don't you tell us a little bit more about the Washington Commanders?
I do not have them as my sleeper pick after diving into the team a little bit. So last year, Daniels, amazing. 3,568 yards in the air, 891 on the ground, 31 total touchdowns. B-Rob, 799 rushing, 8 touchdowns. T-Mac, 82 receptions, 1,096, and 13 touchdowns. That was last year. If we're talking specific just in the draft, Jaden Daniels has what's called, in my technical term for it, is homer tax, which is you pay extreme for guys like who went to LSU, who are quarterbacks, the Joe Burrows, the Daniels, where like Joe Burrow might go in the 5th or 6th round in a normal draft. Jaden Daniels is projected 31st overall. He's probably in some of these leagues going to go in the mid-20s. So
God.
I'm going to fade him this year. Not that I don't like the talent, love the talent, but T-Mac is in a contract dispute. That's not starting off good. And the rest of the team is pretty old. You've got Eckler, you've got Ertz, Debo's not a spring chicken. Even McLaurin isn't the youngest, I mean, he's so I don't think they really improved their defense a lot, So I mean, I like what they did with the offensive line. I think Jaden Daniels is still going to have a great fantasy year, but where he's going, I'm not drafting him. T-Mac 35th overall. The players that are around him, I'm not touching them. Maybe in a 0 RB build, I'd take a shot at B-Rob, but he looked like he peaked early last year and faltered to the point where Eckler, who's in like his 30s, he's going late. I think they're going to try to mix Debo in creatively too. So it just seems like, to me, when it's redraft, it's a wait and see kind of game, and where they all have to be drafted, I'm just not buying on almost any of them.
So it's more of a price tag than what you believe they're actually going to do this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think Jaden Daniels is going to be great. I don't know if he's going to be able to carry the team with everything that's going on. Now, this contract, could straighten itself out. The ageless wonder and Ertz and Austin Eckler could still show up. Debo might be reinvigorated, being like a true number 2 on the team. I don't know. But there's a lot of questions. So while like if Jaden Daniels fell to me in the 4th round, I'd jump on it. I'm late 3rd round. It's just too many guys going like where he's at. So here's a prime example. Lamar Jackson and Jaden Daniels are both available in that area I'm drafting in the 3rd round. Would you take Jaden Daniels over Lamar this year?
Man, personally, no, just because Lamar's done it multiple seasons. I mean, even if the passing yardage and passing touchdowns regresses like we all kind of think it will this year, I mean, he's done it multiple years of being the best running quarterback. So you take the proven longevity, but I love Jaden Daniels this year. But I can totally see where you're coming from with the price tag wise, because quarterback, unless you're playing a super flex league or a heavily weighted towards quarterbacks, don't get me wrong, they can be league winners, but you can find guys that can carry your team as long as the guy that you take instead of them hits, right? If that makes sense.
And just to kind of give you some perspective, Joey, I'm only in one true redraft league, right? The league that we're in for Yahoo, it's got keepers in it. So my one redraft league last year, someone took Josh Allen at the 10-11 turn. Okay. So I'm not buying that, because there's going to be so many people who just fall to you. So I've seen crazier things happen too. So if you get into a redraft league, I'm going to do some in Vegas in September. They might not be quarterback heavy. He falls to the 4th round. You jump on it, right? So I think it's just where you have to take him in your league. So definitely don't want this to be I don't like him. I'm not as big on the age and some of the other things going on with those guys, but I think he's a superstar talent. He can elevate them even if they're having bad games. So.
I mean, just to kind of put it in perspective, I did put a bet on Jaden Daniels to win MVP this year. So did
I.
That was painful to take Lamar over that. Just want to put that out there.
Yeah, those are fun to do. You make a couple of those. I get that free bet from Caesars. I'm making the 4-leg parlay of the LSU receivers to get touchdowns week 1. So
Very nice.
Neighbors, Chase, Jefferson, and Brian Thomas Jr. So I'm just going to see what
Very
happens.
nice.
But
Very nice.
really, I mean, to me, there's not much to talk about on the defense. I didn't see a lot of Benson Sennett last year. Maybe he has a sophomore surge. If you take a Daniels, I'd take him late just to maybe stash him. But if I'm taking Daniels, I'm not really trying to stack him. I'm going to take him almost as a single unit in that offense.
Now, I do have one question, and it's going to sound a little weird, but one big loss that they had that I think is really flying on the radar is Dynasty Brown, who really came on at the end of last year. He's not going to move the needle completely fantasy wise, but I just remember watching those games last year, especially like playoff ones, and it just seemed like he was always popping up with a big third down or a big play to get the drive started kind of thing. So don't underestimate that, and because you're not getting that speed back with Debo coming in. So just something to keep an eye out.
You know, I think that's why they were looking at I think they were one of the teams that was trying to get Olave or looking at maybe Pickens or so they could potentially trade once they get into the offseason, or if Terry McLaurin doesn't sign, that could be a place for Keenan Allen. We'll just keep adding old people. We'll put
that's how they built their
Amari Cooper on that team and really shoot up
the ARP cards.
But that's about all I have for the Commanders.
Well, if that's all you have for the Commanders, let's move on to the next team, which is the defending Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. Like I said, top defense. You know, Jalen Hurts coming back, Saquon Barkley coming back. However, that offense is going to look a little different with Kellen Moore leaving for, I'm not going to necessarily say greener pastures as the head coach of the Saints. But again, we're talking about the Eagles. Kellen Moore is gone. What is this offense going to look like? What is the production going to look like with a new offensive coordinator, Tyler?
So everything that's coming out is that it's going to look very similar. I mean, look, you found the winning recipe. Why change it? Is everything you hear coming out of the Eagles camp? I'm going to say that's complete bull dookie, because there is no way they can feed Saquon Barkley the ball 400 times again. And if I have a top 2 pick, there's no way I'm taking him. Like, I'm taking Bijan over Saquon, just because the fact is, and there's historical relevance to it, there's only been 10 guys that have done this in the last 20 years that have had over 400 carries or 400 touches in a season. Only 2 of them have played an entire season afterwards. Plus, he's on the cover of Madden. Just throwing that out there.
I was just about to bring that up.
With that being said, as a fantasy manager that had shares of A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith, was quite possibly one of the most frustrating things all year last year. Because unless they were losing or behind, they were just giving to Saquon the entire game. There was just games they wouldn't throw the ball in the second half at all. So I think the targets per game went for targets per half. You go look at the stats for A.J. Brown. Look, I'm going to complain about 7 targets a game, but just hear me out. He would have 5.5 average in the first half and then 2 in the second half. So you had to hope he was getting his 5 catches for 100 yards in a TD in that half, because most of the time they were just boat racing people at the end of the year. So it was so frustrating, because you can't be mad because they're winning games, and you can't put them on your bench because of the high potential. But I sympathize with other people that had them as their wide receivers last year. With all that being said, I think they end up throwing the ball a little bit more than people expect. I think that A.J. Brown comes back and solidifies himself as one of the top wide receivers in the league. Because if you look at it, he missed 3 games last year, had the same amount of touchdowns, and only 200 yards less. After everything I've said about how bad the passing share was, they had the second highest run rate in the league last year. It was still that close. I still believe A.J. Brown is that guy. Hell, I think Devonta Smith is slept on in the league a lot. I think he's one of the better wide receivers in the league. It's just he's a 1A or a 1B in an offense that has an alpha. So I would be more inclined to grab Devonta Smith where he's being drafted and hoping he can be that wide receiver 2 for me. I mean, hell, even if he's a wide receiver 3, he's a hell of a flex play where you're probably grabbing him in the 6th, 7th round. AJ Brown's going to be a little bit more expensive, but not as expensive as he has been in the past. So he could be a one if you're trying to get a discount on a stud number one wide receiver. Shane, before I get to my sleeper, Shane, what do you think about that?
Love them in best ball, all the Eagles, except for Barkley. I just like the data we've talked about. I'm just where you have to draft them. I'm not drafting them at all. And I'm not taking them in the first round. There's just not a lot of guys. I like a lot of other players. So totally agree. I still think he has a good year. Love Will Shipley this year, just based on, I love him. I think he's my highest now player in best ball. So I would look to get him late, and I got to be honest with you, the AJ Brown is like my target in the second round. And Hurts I'm going to try to pair with him because Hurts had 32 total touchdowns, 14 of them were rushing. He only had 18 throwing. He only threw for 2,900 yards last year, 2,903. That I just have to think that's got to go up. Now, I mean, they had short fields. They got a good defense. Maybe it won't. But just looking at the division, I think they have 6 games where they're going to score a lot of points for sure. But a lot of guys to like on that team.
Yeah. So getting back to Hurts. So Hurts has been a cheat code. It's probably the first year I don't have him as my keeper just because the value is just not there for me anymore to keep him at his current price tag. I mean, it's iffy. It's a question mark for me, but I would say that he's an absolute cheat code. I mean, if I was able to have him in the 4th round, I'd take him in the 4th round all day because it's essentially having a second running back at the quarterback position. And but I do think that eventually teams are going to figure out a way to stop the brotherly shove, tush push, whatever you want to call it. And they're going to have to audible. And once you take that away, that value goes away real quick.
Yeah.
So I think they throw the ball a little bit more because teams have a full year tape on it. The offense cannot be the exact same as it was last year. And also, let's not discount they had amazing injury, and I mean amazing injury luck last year. So I don't blame them if they want to keep feeding Saquon the rock, but I just feel like that they have to open up the offense a little bit more. But yes, mentioning Will Shipley, he was listed as my sleeper to target for the Eagles just because I feel like his name's getting out a little bit more, but he's definitely a guy that can just basically be one of those handcuffs that you plug and play as soon as he goes down, just because the team he's on. And I know people are going to be like, well, what about A.J. Dillon? Nah, I don't care about that plotter. Next.
Quadzilla.
Quad plotter. Runs like he's got cement shoes.
Runs like he woke up first thing in the morning and started running.
Anyway.
Do you remember that as a child when you had practice early in the morning, you felt like you ran with like the heaviest feet?
Yes.
Yeah. Soccer games at 8:00 in the morning. Let me tell you, those were fun. All right. For our final team in the NFC East, we're going to talk about what everyone perceives as America's team, even though they're not anymore. That's the Dallas Cowboys. Fired their head coach at the end of the year, hired Brian Schottenheimer. Is that going to affect the distribution for CeeDee Lamb, Dak Prescott's passing ability, decision-making skills? Shane, what's your answer to that question?
This feels dirty to talk good about the Cowboys, but from a pure fantasy perspective, offensively, I love CeeDee Lamb this year. Dak only played 8 games last year. CeeDee had 101 receptions, still 1,194 yards and 6 TDs. He easily can get more touchdowns this year, more receptions, more yards. I listened to some of Brian. I randomly came across a video of Brian Schottenheimer talking. The dude was getting the team pumped up. He seems like a likable coach. And besides CeeDee, you can get a lot of these guys' value. So if you get CeeDee, you can pair him with Dak. Dak's going 93rd overall. Tight end Ferguson's going 110. Pickens is 68. I think they're going to be more pass heavy than they've been in the past because their running backs right now are Javonte Williams, who's going at 104, who had a lot of hype and he's been injured a lot. I don't think he's going to do anything. Blue is going at 168, who's tiny. Like, if he can do the Devon A-Chain thing, great. But I think they're going to be a pass-heavy team. Outside of really Micah Parsons, I mean, their defense is ranked 17th. He's in a contract dispute. I think they're playing against a lot of good offenses this year. So I just think fantasy-wise, would love to pair Dak and CD. I'd love that CD to follow me at 7, but I think he's going to go right at 6 before me. So, other than that, there's not much. If you do a 0 RB build, to me, then I think you take Williams and Blue and just see what happens. But you're putting 2 Cowboys running backs on your roster. So, me, I'd love to get CD, love to get Dak. Other than that, probably won't be a bunch of them on my teams.
Man, I see. I totally agree with you with the CD assessment. He's going to play that slot role. Now that you have George Pickens on the outside, I'm high on Pickens, especially with that draft capital. I mean, why not take a shot? That's a 7th round pick where you can essentially possibly get a number 2 wide receiver with one upside week to week. So I completely agree that they're going to have to pass the ball, and let's not forget the great Miles Sanders is there too, okay, in the backfield. So
who?
Miles Sanders.
Who?
Colonel Sanders?
Yeah. There's a better chance of Colonel Sanders running for a touchdown. Good call, Joey. I didn't even know Miles Sanders still played football.
Yeah, he's on the Cowboys. He is legitimately on the Cowboys, listed ahead of Jaden Blue as the RB2 on the depth chart. So
interesting. I just blew past him. See what I did there?
Yeah, no. I'm just saying. You got to throw him out there. Got to throw it out there.
I'm glad we did that because this is going to be a 4-part series, right? I'm glad we got the NFC East out the way first, and the AFC.
Yeah. We're working our way around the East as West, okay? But yeah, no, I agree with you. I think it's going to be a fun fantasy offense, especially the passing attack. I think like you said, the players you want to target, CD goes without saying, and Dak at his current price, and then George Pickens at his current price I like. And Dak's like one of those reasons why, look, you pass on the Jaden Daniels, you pass on the Josh Allens of the world, the Lamars, and hoping that you can snag a Dak Prescott later on that has just enough running ability to put him just one step below those guys. Or at least that's the hope anyway. They stays healthy. So I agree with everything you say, man. We can move on this one unless Joey's got some fun stuff to add about Jerry Jones.
Well, I mean, he must be doing something right because you're going to see him 7 times in primetime or standalone games this season, counting Christmas and Thanksgiving. So
one thing about Jerry real quick, though. I did think it was a bold choice to basically be like, yeah, we can sign these guys to contract extensions, but it doesn't mean we're going to have them. They get hurt all the time. I'm like, he's like, yeah, we signed Dak to the biggest contract, and he was out 8 games. I'm like,
I feel like he's at that point now, owning this team, and at the age he's at, where he just doesn't care, and he's going to just speak up about whatever. Like, he is fully into, like, almost like taking shots. It's like he's taking shots at the PA for like, hey, look, these are the contracts you're allowing us to sign, and look at what's happening to these players.
So I did hear one thing before we move on to the AFC East.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody goes, do you think Jerry Jones would take 4 years of winning like they did back in the 90s, but the only caveat is he cannot do a single press conference? Do you think he takes those Super Bowl wins and has a sustained success for 4 years?
Absolutely not.
Exactly. As everybody on the panel was like,
absolutely
nope,
not.
There's no way he can do it. So
he loves hearing himself talk, and he talks about nonsense all the time.
Yeah.
No, Jerry Jones, if there was a way for him to be the owner, the GM, the coach, the quarterback, the running back, and the wide receiver all at once, he would do it. There's a commercial going on right now, and yes, I'm taking this to a soccer world, but just bear with me, where it's Lionel Messi is the coach, the fan, and every player on one team. That's what Jerry Jones's dream is, to be for the Cowboys.
No, I agree. But
it's a weird commercial, but
we're not
talking about soccer.
We're not, but that's the only place I could bring it because they're the ones that made the commercial. Okay, I'm pretty sure it might have been Capital One. I don't know.
Well, being said,
that being said, let's go to the other conference.
Let's
in
move
the
from one
East.
creepy owner to another creepy owner.
Yeah, let's go to Robert Kraft and the New England Patriots, who
Hey now, he's he's such a nice man.
who got his
he's
Super Bowl
just,
ring stolen by Vladimir Putin. Let's think about that for a second.
and hey, he's just hoping for a happy ending to the season. Okay,
that's not the only happy ending he's hoping for.
Tom Brady hear y'all say that.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll just bring up the fact that Joseph Newgarden looks better than Tom Brady. He'll get hurt and run away. So
enough of massage jokes. Okay? We're gonna
We're
gonna have to start talking about Deshaun Watson at a certain point. Okay, so let's go.
Let's get back to the New England Patriots on the field. They just hired Mike Vrabel as their head coach. I feel like he's going to bring in that Patriot mentality that they had that won them the Super Bowls. Trying to think who has this team.
I do.
Tyler, yes. What is your opinion on the New England Patriots this year?
So, to put it mildly, I'm bullish on them.
Mm-hmm.
I hear some people that are like, "Oh, Drake May still got to show me something." I'm like, I've seen enough. The fact he played so well, like even decently well, because I'm not gonna say he played spectacular. He didn't. There was definitely some growing pains and everything like that. But for everything that was going around, the terrible first-year head coach, the terrible offensive line, no wide receivers, the defense was horrendous. Like they earned them being the last in the division here. That being said, like you said, Mike Vrabel being hired. Love the hire. Home run hire here. Definitely a program builder. That's what you want to see. And then Josh McDaniels coming back. Have your opinion about him. A lot of people think he's a jerk. I mean, I don't think he's the nicest guy in the world. He kind of sucks as a person. From some of his interviews he's done, I mean, he could be nice behind closed doors. I do want to preface that. But, man, for whatever reason, in New England, he is a fantastic offensive coordinator. Like, I know that was Bill Belichick was there with him and everything like that. But, look, anybody that's worried about him molding a young quarterback, or it's like he's only done it with Tom Brady, go back to Mac Jones' first year there. Everybody and their mother thought Mac Jones was going to take that next step until they decided to use two defensive coordinators to be the offensive coordinators the year after that. But I digress. He was able to work with young quarterbacks and make them successful. That's why I'm sold. I'm bought into the Patriots being successful this year, and I'm going to try to get shares of them everywhere, fantasy-wise. Like Stephon Diggs, he's current ADP. Shane, if you had to guess, what would you say? Without looking, what's his current ADP? You would have to guess.
I don't have it up, so I would say, is it 80, like 82, if I'm trying to remember? I think that's where he's
97
balls. It may be 97. Okay.
Why not take a shot on a guy that could, I mean, is probably going to be the number one receiver in that on that team? I understand the ACL injury and everything like that, but at 97 overall, that risk is kind of baked in already, right? What's your thoughts there?
What's his ADP?
Who?
Drake May.
Drake May is currently going 151. According to Fantasy Pros. Whoa. This is according to Fantasy Pros. Yes, I'm on that all day.
He runs. He runs too.
Exactly. And I don't understand that. Like, he had over 400 yards rushing last year, almost 500, and 4 touchdowns. Like, okay, he's not Lamar Jackson. He's not Jaden Daniels, but you're still getting that production. So I've talked about Stephon Diggs. I think he's going to be the number one wide receiver there. He's already been cleared from the ACL injury. As long as everything's locked in and he's locked in, he has his antics, but man, the guy produces. You can't take that away from him, right? I see easily over 1,000. Huh?
Especially the first year he's there, he produces.
Of course, he's on his best behavior.
Yeah,
unless he's doing some pink sugar on a boat. But I digress. The other wide receiver I really want to talk about is kind of like a sleeper too. Is Kayshon Boutte. And I know you can call me a homer or whatever. Say what you will. He had a connection with Drake May last year. And it is tangible. It was there. I mean, over the last 9 of the last 11 games last year, he had at least 5 targets. His current ADP is 312. I will take a flyer on that all day, every day, and 2 times on Sunday to try to make sure I can have that that production in just spike weeks. I mean, he should be a best ball target, in my opinion. But I like him as a sneaky late-round flyer. And then you got to talk about the crown jewel of the rookie class that they got, at least for fantasy football wise, and that's Trevion Henderson. His current ADP is 53rd overall, and I know you've heard it ad nauseum from other shows, but his pass blocking is going to make sure he sees the field early, which you love to see from a rookie running back. Explosive, electric. I mean, the way I'm looking at it is that Josh McDaniels made James White a star, who is nowhere near as athletic as Henderson. I think Henderson is in for a big year, and I see big things in the future for him. Like, if you're a fan of Jahmyr Gibbs, imagine him being Jahmyr Gibbs light, if that makes sense. So, Shane, I mean, we talked about Drake May. He's the biggest X factor on the team for me. They added Will Campbell on the line, which you love to hear your offensive lineman go say, hey, I'm going to die for my quarterback. Make sure he's protected. I'm like, cool, done, sold. I like him. I like the Patriots, especially the value-wise this year. I think some people are sleeping on him, but what's your thoughts?
I love him. I'm with you. I think one guy that could be sneaky this year too is Kyle Williams. I like him. The only thing that I keep hearing, and I just try to ignore it, is they're saying, hey, they gave Ramondre a big contract. They're going to be in a split backfield. He's going to start the year as the starter, which, as someone who owns Trevion Henderson in Dynasty, that's not what you want to hear. But I think Trevion's too talented to stay.
Look, they took him with a high second-round pick, which we all know is essentially a first-round pick for a running back. They're going to give him the ball. Ramondre Stevenson is this year's Rachaad White. Everyone's like, oh, well, they're going to be the starter. And then all of a sudden, about halfway through the year, they just stop seeing the ball. And it's all fine and dandy. They have the cap space to handle any kind of dead money they have to if they decide to get rid of him, or they just keep him on the team and just have a solid backup running back. But I think Trevion is the future of the position for sure. Other than that, the only thing I really had about the Patriots is I know a lot of people are high on Hunter Henry or see him as a second or third tier tight end if you miss out on the big guys. I don't see it. I mean, his ADP is not terrible, but it's also just there's a lot of mouths to feed now with Kyle Williams, Stephon Diggs, Trevion Henderson. What is he going to see that target share that he's been seeing? And I just don't want to. I just don't even want to risk that. But that's really all I have for the Patriots. I'm to the moon. You take them, draft them, and have a good time.
I'll be honest. When you brought up Josh McDaniels, he needs to just stay at the Patriots.
Yeah.
I feel like he does good. He goes out to be a head coach somewhere else, and then it just goes to hell.
Goes to poop.
Just stay where you're at. Do good. Just make the money there. There's nothing wrong with being an offensive coordinator for your entire life. Just stay there.
I do want to correct something real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Drake May 121, not 151 ADP.
Still a good deal.
Oh yeah, 100%. Just want to clarify that before I get roasted in the comments.
Joey, how dare you say that?
What you said about Josh McDaniels is how I feel about Steve Spagnuolo. Like, just stay
a defensive coordinator. Yeah,
great at that. He's great at that, but
it's okay, guys. It's okay.
Yeah,
he's not meant to be a head coach. It's fine.
It's those one like when Josh McDaniels got hired. He was with the Raiders
last. He was with the Broncos last. It was the Raiders. Yeah,
he was with the Broncos, and then he went back, and then he went to the Raiders, or he went somewhere else.
No, Raiders. Then
so when the failed experiment happened at the Raiders, it's like, okay, man, you have your niche, stay there. You could become a highly paid offensive coordinator. Stay where you're at. Stop going other places and trying to lead the team the Patriot way when you're with the Raiders or when you're with, the Broncos.
So there was a 1-year pit stop, because I thought there was a 1-year pit stop in St. Louis as the offensive coordinator. And then right after that year, he went right back to the Patriots.
So he went Patriots.
So he went
Rams.
Patriots. He went Patriots offensive coordinator,
uh-huh.
Denver Broncos head coach, then the Rams, then back to the Patriots, Raiders, then Patriots.
He was with Jeff Fisher?
2011. Yes, that would have been Jeff Fisher.
Okay.
I believe. Or no, was that? Hold on. I'll look it up real quick.
Yeah, look that up because
I want to say it's Spagnuolo, honestly.
Oh, you know what? You might be right. I'm going to let you look that up. I'm not going to go into the next team yet.
Yep, Spagnuolo. That's what it was.
Okay. So, yeah, because he keeps going back and forth, and it's like he goes to a team, they suck. He goes back to the Patriots. He gets his cred back up, and then he goes to a team, it drops, goes back to the Patriots. It's like he's that kid that goes out and he's like, all right, I'm going to touch that electrical socket. It's not going to shock me. It shocks him. He goes back to his hole, and he goes back and he touches it again. Like,
no, for sure, dude.
Stay in your home.
Stay in your lane, bro.
Yeah. So from one team that I think is on the up with the New England Patriots, let's talk about the team who's been on top the last couple of years in the AFC East. That's the Buffalo Bills. Final year in, what is it, New Era Highmark Stadium, whatever the name of it is. They're going to new digs next year. But
it's about time.
My question is, yes, it is. But my question for you, Shane, is, and you could go on about other things with the team, is Josh Allen an overrated quarterback in fantasy?
First of all, Bills Mafia for life, baby. I love him. I love Bill. I love the old
good fans.
Love the old Thurman Thomas, Mike Beebe.
Oh, yeah.
They were great.
Mm-hmm.
Do I think he's overrated? Absolutely not. So he threw for 3,731 yards last year, 28 touchdowns, rushed for 531 and 12 touchdowns. So he's got 40 total touchdowns, and he's got 4,200 yards. So it's in leagues, once again, it depends on how you build, right? If you're willing to give up a late second, early third for him, there's nothing wrong with it, right? But most of the time he's going towards the 1-2 turn. I mean, the 2-3 turn, if not earlier.
Yeah.
That's not how I like to build teams. I'm a big believer in loading up on wide receivers, going after tight end early or punting on tight end, and then trying to get some good running back candidates. So nothing wrong with building with him. He is ranked 24th.
Yep.
I think he's ranked 24th overall. I think he could have a better year this year. Keon Coleman's in his second year. I'm not going to – Kincaid might figure it out. They might not figure it out. I don't know. But they still got Dawson Knox, Khalil Shakir, 76 receptions, 821 yards last year, 4 touchdowns. He could be a good wide receiver 3 if you go with Allen. The guy I'm really fading on the team completely is James Cook. He had 1,009 yards, 16 touchdowns. I don't think there's any way he gets 16 touchdowns again this year. Plus, this is probably the only year he hasn't been banged up or wasn't injured. So I'm a huge, not just because he went to Kentucky, Ray Davis fan. He's going currently at 141 on Fantasy Pros. So I would buy the Bills. If I'm going after Josh Allen, I'm going to try to get Shakir, might grab or Kincaid. Grab somebody. Somebody's going to come. I think someone's going to finish high this year as his go-to. I think he's going to click with somebody. I don't know if it's Coleman. I don't know if it's Shakir, but I think they're going to have a good year.
I mean, selfishly, I'm really hoping it's Coleman. Selfishly.
Yeah. Currently, they're ranked 7th, so I mean, they could potentially get some short fields, But I mean, if you take 6 touchdowns away from Cook, where they would normally maybe go to Josh Allen, he's at 46 touchdowns for the year. If he so he's got a lot of potential to be higher than he was. So, not a big James Cook fan. Same thing. I just don't see him repeating. He's on that list with Barkley for me. I'm just passing on. But I don't think you can go wrong drafting good players on good offenses and with good quarterbacks.
Yeah, I'm just trying to look up where he finished last year. James Cook did.
He was high.
Yeah, I'm trying, but it's still the fact that it's a little different working on online than it is on a phone. But anyway, I guess what I'm trying to say is that even with having 16 touchdowns, let's put that in perspective. That is a crap ton. He still wasn't a top 5 running back, right? Like that you have to take that in perspective. He's not catching passes and only 1,000 yards rushing. Now, I understand that he averaged 5 yards a carry. And it's hard when you have Josh Allen. Offense are going to throw the rock a lot, but there's more negative markers than positive ones that I'm willing to buy into. Does that make sense?
He's also seeking a new contract in a contract dispute that's bleeding into camp. He only caught 32 balls last year. Me personally, I just think that Ray Davis is a better player in that offense. I think he's going to fit better.
Yeah.
I think they're going to let James Cook walk, or they might trade him if he's going to get disgruntled. So that's really, I mean, the Bills, I think, are pretty cut and dry. I think there's nothing wrong with taking Josh Allen. I think there's nothing wrong with passing on him. Just depends on the build you're trying to do. You know?
Yeah, look, I like the Bills this year, but they covered him pretty well. Yeah, I think Dalton Kincaid's just, we're going to give up on that ever being the next Travis Kelce thing.
Yeah. I mean, they've given him opportunities. I don't know why you draft a guy like that and not I've seen some situations where he's been open. So I watch the Bills a lot and they don't get him the ball. So I don't know what it is. Maybe it doesn't click, but
something's just off, right? Like it's just off about it.
So,
yeah. So
I've had Dalton Kincaid, and it has been a nightmare to have him every once in a while. So I'd like to not live that nightmare as much as possible. That's why I dropped him. But let's go from upstate New York back to we say New York, but it's really New Jersey,
South Beach,
and
go Miami.
Oh yeah, that's right. You're right. I'm going the wrong way. We're gonna go South Beach. Tyler, I really have nothing to say about Miami. I'm going to let you run with it because I don't know what is going on with that team.
So it's just such an odd thing, right? If everybody stays healthy and, the offense gets back clicking, realistically, they could be a playoff team. But I could also see them being a 4-win team. With the Dolphins, it all comes down to, does Tua stay healthy? It's plain and simple. I mean, or if you believe in Zach Wilson resurrecting his career in South Beach and somehow leading the team if Tua gets hurt again. But the team goes with Tua. They made some additions to the offensive line, but at the end of the day, it's as Tua goes, they go. If Tua plays the entire year, I'm going to try to get every single share of Tyreek Hill I can, because I think they're really going to try to make an effort to force feed him the ball again. This is last year with him, more than likely, because I believe the money frees up after this year. But Mike McDaniels is coaching for his job. It's an odd hot seat he's on, but he's definitely on one. I don't think that because there's just a lot of locker room stuff coming out and everything like that, and players being disgruntled and everything. So with that being said, I'm going to try to target Tyreek Hill because ADP at 30, where I could possibly get the number one wide receiver, I'm with it. I'm for that price tag. Now, one guy I do want to watch out for, and is Jalen Wright. I do think he's going to be interesting, especially with A-Chain being a little smaller, and I think they don't want him to keep giving him the kind of workload he was facing last year. Because Shane, as an A-Chain owner, you can agree, it was nice to have because he was getting the numbers and everything like that, but it was way too many touches you want to see for a smaller running back to have.
Yeah, he had 78 catches last year,
which is fantastic.
And they're projecting him to get 100 because 82 receptions or whatever it was left when Jonnu Smith got traded.
And see, that's where I'm kind of considering that's going more Tyreek Hill, right?
Yeah.
We're splitting more. I think we see the 2023 Dolphins are close to that version than we did last year, the 2024. I think that was just necessity. The offensive line was so terrible that they couldn't afford to hold on to let these routes develop. So they had to literally just be like, hut, throw it off. And that's where Jonnu Smith basically won people championships last year. I know. Talk about Shane. But that's all I really have. I like Jalen Wright. He's explosive. He's a bigger running back than A-Chain is, so I could definitely see them putting him together. I mean, putting him more in. The only other thing is I want to bring up, and I want to ask both of y'all about Jalen Waddle, right? On paper, he should be at least a top 24 wide receiver. It just hasn't come together yet, whether it be injuries, whether it be ineffectiveness, whether it be the analytics just not lining up. Shane, what is your feeling on Jalen Waddle this year?
I'm not until he shows me that he's one, he can't stay healthy, so that he gets hurt, he gets across the middle. I love the player, but he's got bad quarterback play most of the time, and they kind of hang him out to dry is how I feel. So I'm not buying him. I'd be more inclined. The only two people I think, like you mentioned, or maybe three people, I would still like A-Chain. I would probably handcuff him with Wright. I like Wright. I've got a lot of Wright in best ball, and I like Hill.
Yeah.
But Waddle, he should be like, to me, they should have a Chase Higgins dynamic over there with Hill and him.
Yeah.
And it doesn't hit. It reminds me more like Malik Neighbors and whoever the second receiver they throw the ball to in the Giants, whether it's Slayton or Wanderlei Robinson. It's like he's an afterthought.
Yeah.
I don't know if the team, but I mean, he was the third. He was third in receptions on that team last year. I mean, fourth. I'm sorry, fourth in receptions on that
fourth,
team.
yeah,
behind a tight end and a running back. So now I don't think Darren Waller's going to do anything. Maybe because he's in Miami and he's loving the heat or whatever, but I don't think they have that tight end to really fill that Jonnu Smith role. So maybe they use him.
Hey, he may lay down some sick tracks. Okay, he was rapping all last year.
He lost me when he divorced Kelsey Plum because she's a babe. So,
This is the fantasy analysis we need.
Yes. So, but that's about all.
Yeah, that's all I got in the Dolphins fan.
Yeah,
let's leave it at that.
I love Kelsey.
I think Shane hit the nail on the head though with Jalen Waddle. He's got to be healthy, and then also with Devon A-Chain, he's got to keep that explosiveness throughout the entire season. The question is, can he?
Yeah, I mean, it's just that's just my concern with.
Yes, he can, Joey.
Yes, he can.
Yes, he can.
Oh, so we got one more team, guys. One more team. Joey,
we're gonna go
up for us.
We're gonna go back to New Jersey. All right. We're going to go back to New Jersey and talk about the New York Jets. They got rid of a lot of key components that were a part of their dumpster fire, as I'll say, with Aaron Rodgers. Picking up Justin Fields, who has already dislocated his toe in training camp as of recording. Shane, my question to you is, if his toe allows it, is this Justin Fields... is this the hype train of Justin Fields finally going to come to fruition?
Fantasy-wise or football-wise? Because fantasy-wise, Justin Fields a lot of value.
A lot.
He's already back at practice today. He's going 91. He is a valuable fantasy asset. Do I think he's going to be in the MVP race or in the top 10? No. But fantasy-wise, if you don't go with a quarterback early, you can grab him. He's going to – I mean, there was weeks – I had him 2 years ago. When he was still with the Bears, there was weeks he was getting 40 – I think he went 50 back-to-back, 250 burgers.
Yeah.
And it was like he had 110 yards throwing. So
yeah,
but he also had 150 yards rushing.
And you can't really throw in Soldier Field when it gets windy like it typically does.
Yeah, he could be a cheat code, and then he has rapport with Wilson. So if he's got a read, he's got a rookie tight end he can dump off the ball to. The Jets offense, I like teams coming into a new coach. Historically, they at least compete. They're not that like they're gonna have some games where these guys are very valuable and win weeks. I'm not like trying to saturate my team with them, but I think there's nothing wrong with Fields. I would say that the guy that I'm against the most is Breece Hall at 38. He potentially could get traded, or he's going to sign somewhere next year. I'd probably like him more if he went to a new, fresher. Like if Breece Hall went to Denver, there was some rumor about him going to Denver. I'd be all over Breece Hall. I just think with a running quarterback, you've got a monster in Braylon Allen who's going to get goal line work. I don't see it. When I was doing the research, I was a little surprised, and I'm going to ask Tyler this. Are you surprised that Garrett Wilson last year had the same amount of catches as C.D. Wilson, only 90 yards less receiving, and he had one more touchdown than C.D. Lamb?
That doesn't surprise me all that much. Look, for as much as I poo-poo on Aaron Rodgers, he did play better down the stretch last year. It was just they were so horrible to start off with that nobody cared. But he did play better down the stretch, and Garrett Wilson has all the talent in the world. He really does. It just, for whatever reason, can never get a quarterback that can get him the ball consistently enough. Now we're hoping, like you said, that the connection from college carries over to the NFL and we can really see some big production numbers from Garrett Wilson. But I mean, yeah, to answer your question, that's what I
think. Do you know where he's ranked currently in Fantasy Pros?
I'm not gonna look. I'm gonna say 18.
21.
Ah, all right. Wasn't too far off.
So if he falls a little bit, like if I'm sitting in the third round, say I'm just using this because this is my redraft spot. I take Neighbors, AJ Brown, and then Garrett Wilson falls to me in the third round. Yeah, I'll take him depending on who's there. So I think,
yes,
in certain situations I would take him. I like Allen late, especially in 0 RB. If you punt tight end, Taylor's 214 right now. I don't think there's anything wrong with them. They're currently projected to have the 15th ranked defense. If they've get some good defensive plays and give them short field, they might get some opportunities. So, not as bullish as some other teams as we go down these divisions and we get into them, but there's definitely pieces depending on a build that I would go with, especially like there's nothing I would take Fields. Like if I took Fields in May, I would see how they both do, and I think you're gonna hit a top 10, if not top 7 quarterback between one of those two guys. I think that's the potential that they have, both of them.
Now let me ask you. See, to me here, I try not to do any research into the other teams just to be fresh, right? When we're coming into looking at it, me hearing Breece Hall in the 30s is interesting, actually. I understand Braylon Allen. I understand Isaiah Davis is there. But at the end of the day, I think the talent wins out, and Breece Hall will get the majority of the carries. But what does it look like is the main question. It's a gamble. I will give you it's a gamble taking that shot, but one that I would probably consider.
Just depends on the build, right? Like I don't.
Yeah, of course, 100%.
If he's my second running back, and maybe I know I'm punting tight end and punting quarterback, and I say someone goes Genty in the first round, 2 receivers, and then Breece Hall. They're building a team. They're going to have, if you're building a team that way, you're probably going to have 2 or 3 decent running backs behind him, 2 or 3 decent wide receivers. You're spreading it out. If he hits, great. If he doesn't, because if he hits, he's an amazing talent to have on your fantasy team.
Yeah.
I had him for his best year, and I traded him in Dynasty just because I thought this was the highest value he was going to have potentially, and I wanted to make some moves to solidify the roster. So,
yeah, we're not going to talk about that trade.
Why?
Shane. We
Yes.
know why we're not going to talk about that trade. Come on now.
It's not as bad as the trade you made with Mike.
I mean, I can only make offers. People accept, and that's on them.
I mean,
I'm just fucking with you, buddy. I'm just fucking with you.
That was the offer I made him. He accepted it.
Hey, look, I ain't hating on it. But I mean, it's good on you. But no, this is a fun episode, gentlemen. I like the series. I can't wait to do the rest of them.
Yeah,
what are we doing next? What do we want to tease the people with?
Well, if we're going east, I'm assuming we can either do north or south. If we're going to leave the west last. So
we're leaving the west last. Okay.
Well, I said we're going east.
So let's go north. Let's do the north next.
Okay. Yeah, we can do the north. Me and Shane will break out. We'll decide on what teams are going to do. We're going to leave that a little mystery and then come back to it, man. Is there anything else y'all want to add?
Yeah, that's it for me.
Nope.
Yeah.
Got nothing for me.
Lean tight. All right. Well, you know what that means, guys. It's time to play out some of our famous rock playout music. And then until next time, we'll be back with another episode of the Dynasty Doctors of the Noble Steady Sort of Sports Talk and Noble Steady Pods. I am Tyler, your host, for Shane O'Mac and Joey. Until next time, later.